And that is correct. I mean, you were kicked off of some of the cable news channels for having heterodox opinions on certain issues. So let's kind of look at the last couple of years. We can go back to the Bernie Sanders thing. Explain to us, why is it that right-wing revolution was successful, and the Bernie Sanders with 2 attempts actually won the primary in 2016, and he had it stolen. Again, stolen election talk can be a little controversial. They stole it from Bernie Sanders in 2016. Why was that revolution not successful?
Yeah, I think it was because Donald Trump was a celebrity and they didn't take him seriously, so they made the mistake of giving him mainstream media coverage. And so they thought, and if you remember, Bill Clinton had this brilliant idea, we'll encourage Donald Trump to run on the Republican side and it'll destroy the Republican Party. How'd that work out for you, Bill? And so I remember saying at the time, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Because what I sensed was you need a non-politician to lead the revolt. So, because all the politicians, and right now they're having a conversation on the Democratic side about 2028, and the only people they mention are politicians. And my answer to that is, hell no. Okay? Because the politicians are used to the corruption. They grew up in the corruption. They like the corruption. They got their power through the corruption. So I don't want that. I don't need that. And so when Trump came on, they gave him coverage. And here's when look, some people think that things changed after the election. No, I've been saying this from day one. And so back in 2016, actually 2015, after I think it was the second debate, when Trump was on stage and he said, I gave all these guys money and they did exactly what I wanted. At that point, everyone on earth, certainly in establishment and mainstream media, says he has no chance of winning, none. I went on the Young Turks and I said, he's going to win the Republican primary, okay? Because people hate corruption and they know it in their bones, okay? Now, we will disagree on, is Trump really not corrupt? Is Trump really going to do the things that he promised? Is he really a populist? I would love to prove me wrong. I would love that, okay? And, my God, if Trump got money out of politics, one thing we're known for is credit where credit is due, okay? I would give him all the credit in the world. We're not there yet. We're not close to there yet. So when we get into the issues, hey, how about, and remember, guys, you also have donors. Beware of the donors. Don't forget that, and don't let your guard down, okay? But so on the Democratic side, we have got to elect a populist. If we don't, we're going to make the same mistake we made when they anointed Hillary Clinton, when they anointed Joe Biden, and when they anointed Kamala Harris. So my Democratic friends, how many times are you going to lose before you realize that mainstream media and the establishment are lying to you?
And so is that energy forefront in the Democrat Party right now? And I'm not saying this facetiously. Read us into what the power brokers of the Democrat Party are saying. Are they saying we need to run more to the middle, that we need to embrace more populism? We're hearing some of the names, but what is the vibe of the people that do this for a living?
Yeah, so I can tell you definitively that the Democratic leadership and the Democratic establishment will never voluntarily go in a new direction. They will never voluntarily accept populism. They are built on donor money. They are of the donors, by the donors, for the donors. So what I need left-wing voters to understand is that they're never going to give you what you want incrementally. Martin Luther King talked about the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Oh, if we just go a little further with Joe Biden, he'll give us another crumble and another tiny increment. No, they're going to just pick a new and improved corporate robot like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom, and they're going to come out with a new script, and they're going to say, I am now a populist, and they will wear flannel shirts, and they'll go to bar ribs, and then they'll sneak out and go to French Laundry, right? So don't believe the corporate robots. Remember how many times they lied to you. We need to do a populist revolt and pick a populist left-winger so we can have a real contest in this country. The establishment Democrats are never going to win. We need to go populist, and the way to do that is not by negotiating with them, it's by defeating them in a primary.
Is the Democrat grassroots, are they invigorated towards that end? Because it seemed as if they weren't obviously thrilled about Biden or Kamala Harris, but you could say whatever you want about Bernie Sanders. I have massive worldview disagreements. He had a legitimate grassroots movement behind him of small dollar donors, of people that were working, of activists. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like that has disappeared a little bit in recent years, or at least has gone to sleep. Am I correct in that? And what would it take to awaken that sleeping giant?
So there's a couple of different branches within the Democratic Party and the left, but the two most important ones are the populist progressive left, that's Bernie Sanders, and we could debate about progressive issues and policies on another day, right? But then there's the establishment wing. So the populist wing is already there. That base that was there in 2016 and 2020 still exists. And remember, guys, and I say this to you and I say it to the left wing, Bernie won the first 3 states in 2020. He was this close to winning until Obama and Clyburn called in all the candidates.
He's right. And
said, you all have to bow to Joe Biden. And then mainstream media then said, Joe Biden is the greatest. And they started talking about how Bernie Sanders, the most successful Jewish candidate in American history, had followers who were brown shirts and fascists and Nazis. Where have you heard that before? So whenever it's an outsider, all of a sudden mainstream media says fascist, even if it's a Jewish candidate, right? So they use the same tricks. And you guys have been canceled. I've been canceled. They do the same thing to both of us over and over again. So the left-wing populists are ready, but we do need some more votes from people who used to be in the establishment Democratic camp. And why were they in that camp? Because they love corruption, they love war, they love change? No, guys. They were in that camp because mainstream media lied to them. And mainstream media told them, oh, Bernie can't win. Bernie was up by 12 points on Election Day in 2016. They said, he's radical. And they called you guys radical and said you couldn't win. They call us radical and say we can't win. But they're wrong. They're lying. So what I need Democrats to understand is stop believing in Morning Joe and The View and all the garbage on TV.